The night is quiet, and the stars above glow like gentle lamps, guiding us into forgotten worlds. Long ago, across deserts, forests, and rivers, there were sacred circles, ancient cults who honored the power of the divine feminine. If this journey brings you peace, consider subscribing so you can always return to these sacred stories. And if you wish, share where in the world you are listening from. Our voices together create a circle of calm across the earth. Tonight, we will drift into their mysteries. We will listen to the voices of priestesses, mothers, healers, and goddesses. Each tale is soft with memory, shimmering with symbols of devotion and love. Let your spirit wander as the past unfolds like a dream carried by candlelight. The night is quiet. The air feels gentle, like the breath of an ancient world still resting in silence. Above, the stars glow faintly, not sharp or blinding, but soft. Like pale lamps in a cave of endless sky, you drift into this stillness. You walk slowly through the dark of memory, where human voices are whispers, and time itself moves like a slow river. Here, at the dawn of the Divine Mother, the world is tender. The earth is not yet divided by walls or borders. It is open, wide, breathing, alive. In those first moments, people lived close to the soil. They planted seeds with their bare hands. They watched rivers rise and fall with the seasons. They listened to the cries of animals, the songs of birds, the rustle of the wind, and they felt a mystery in it all, from the birth of a child to the ripening of grain to the swelling of the moon. They saw patterns of life repeating, like the rhythm of a drum that beats softly, steadily, without end. In this rhythm, they felt the presence of a mother, not a woman of flesh alone, but a spirit vast and eternal, a mother of all things, the one who gives and protects. Inside cool caves, with fires flickering on stone walls, they carved her image. Figures shaped from clay and bone with rounded forms, wide hips, and gentle curves. Not made to be admired as art, but to be held, prayed to, honored. They were not idols of beauty. They were vessels of comfort, symbols of life, of food, of birth, of endless return. Each carving was a whisper. Life comes from her. Safety rests in her hands. The earth is her body, and we are her children. The caves became wombs of memory, safe and dark. The people placed her figures there, as if returning them to the heart of the world. The Divine Mother was everywhere. In the stone beneath their feet, in the seed that cracked open and grew, in the waters that poured from the sky. You walk further into this dream, where fires glow gently against stone walls. The shadows of painted hands stretch across the cave ceiling. Soft drums echo, low and steady, like the pulse of the earth itself. The people gather, their faces glowing in the firelight, their eyes half closed in awe. They do not speak of empires or battles. They only speak of her. They tell stories of how the world was born from her womb, how mountains were her bones, how rivers were her veins, how the stars were sparks from her breath. When the storms came, they said it was her voice. When the rain returned, it was her blessing. And when death touched someone they loved, they whispered that the person had simply gone back into her embrace, back to the mother who never left, never turned away. Slowly, the dream carries you through forests, where tall trees rise like pillars of a temple. Their leaves tremble with hidden music. Birds stir softly in the branches. The people walk beneath these trees, placing offerings of grain, fruit, and flowers. They bow their heads, not to the tree itself, but to the spirit they believe lives within it. The mother who gives them shade, wood for fire, fruit for hunger. The wind passes through the leaves like a gentle hymn. It is her breath, they say, always moving, always blessing. The story continues in wide valleys, where rivers wind slowly, glittering under the moon. Here the people gather to sing. The water shines silver, and they dip their hands into it, lifting droplets to their lips. Cool, pure, and flowing, the river feels alive. They whisper that she is here too, flowing into their bodies, carrying her blessing into their veins. The mother is never far. In each drop, each grain, each breath, she is near. She is not only worshipped, she is lived. Time drifts. Centuries pass like soft waves. Villages rise. Fields spread wide. Yet always, the mother remains. In every culture, she wears a new name, but the feeling is the same. In one land, she is the lady of the wild beasts, her arms stretching wide to protect. In another, she is the queen of heaven, crowned with stars. Elsewhere, she is the gentle one of the fields, blessing the harvest. The people bow differently, sing differently, tell new stories. But beneath it all, she is one. The same mother, wearing many veils. The same comfort, returned again and again. As you drift deeper into this story, imagine yourself standing at dawn. The sky is soft and pale, touched with the faintest pink. Mist rises from the fields, cool and gentle. The world feels freshly born. Somewhere nearby, a small shrine holds the image of the mother. It is simple, just a stone with soft curves placed upon the earth, but the air around it is full of reverence. The villagers approach quietly. They place bread upon the stone. They pour milk at its base. They touch their foreheads to the ground, not in fear but in gratitude. The sun rises slowly, painting the horizon gold. The mother is here in the warmth, in the light. She is the dawn itself. The dream carries you further still. You find yourself inside a circle of stones, tall and weathered. The night is cool. The moon is high, glowing silver. Women stand in the circle, their voices rising in slow chants. Their words are old, their melody soft and flowing. They lift their hands to the moon, calling it the eye of the mother. The silence between their voices feels holy, like a deep breath held by the earth. The chant fades. The circle remains. The moonlight drapes over the stones like a veil. The Divine Mother watches in silence, her presence heavy and comforting, like a blanket placed over sleeping children. Through every age, she is remembered. Sometimes in bright temples filled with incense and jewels, sometimes in quiet homes where mothers hum lullabies to their children, sometimes in hidden caves where her figure rests in the dark, untouched but not forgotten. She is the seed beneath the soil. She is the grain in the bread. She is the milk, the rain, the breath, the endless cycle. Life flows from her, and to her all life returns. Now the night deepens. The fire in the cave grows low. The songs fade into silence. The people rest, curled in blankets of fur, hearts safe in the presence of the Great Mother. The stars outside shimmer gently, like eyes watching with love. And you too are resting now, listening to the soft hum of memory. The mother is near. Her arms are wide, her embrace endless. She holds the world, and she holds you. Let her carry you into sleep. Let her whisper into your dreams. Her voice is the wind. Her warmth is the fire. Her promise is life, always returning. Rest now as the dawn of the Divine Mother glows softly on the horizon. The earth is safe beneath her. The night is gentle around you. The stars hum like lullabies above. Drift onward, into her embrace, into dream. The night opens gently. Above, the sky is a deep ocean of velvet, spread wide and endless. The stars shimmer like scattered pearls, and in the center of the heavens, the moon rises, round, glowing, serene. Its light is not harsh, but soft and silver, like a lantern veiled in silk. It spills across the land, touching stones, rivers, and trees with a pale glow. Every shadow stretches long and quiet. Every breeze hums low and slow. The world feels hushed, as if waiting, as if listening. You drift along this quiet landscape. The ground beneath your feet is cool. The night air wraps around you like a gentle cloak. In the distance, a circle of women gathers in an open field. Their figures are outlined by moonlight. Their heads are crowned with garlands of leaves and flowers. They move with patience, with reverence. They are the priestesses of the moon. Their voices rise, soft at first, like a murmur carried on the wind, then clearer, smoother, weaving into a hymn. It is not loud or fierce. It is tender, as if sung to a mother rocking her child to sleep. The song curls upward into the night sky, toward the silver face of the moon. And the moon seems to listen. The priestesses sway slowly, their robes brushing the earth. Every movement is measured, like the flowing of a river, like the tide turning beneath unseen stars. They step in circles, round and round, echoing the shape of the moon above. Their bare feet touch the grass, damp with dew, cool against the skin. They carry in their hands small bowls of water, glowing faintly as the moonlight reflects. One priestess lowers her bowl to the earth, pouring the water in silence. It trickles into the soil, a gift to the mother beneath. Another raises hers high, holding it toward the moon, as if inviting the sky to drink. The act is simple, but it feels sacred. The earth receives. The heavens receive. And in between stands the priestess, a bridge of offering, a vessel of balance. Their chants continue, weaving stories older than memory. They sing of the moon as a mother who watches through every night, a guardian who glows when the world is darkest. They speak of her changing face, full and bright, half hidden, or thin as a silver thread. Each change is part of her cycle, each phase a reminder that endings are only beginnings waiting to return. The moon grows, fades, disappears, and returns, and so too does life. Seeds sprout, bloom, wither, and sleep, only to return again when the season calls. The moon teaches them this rhythm. The priestesses carry it in their voices, their bodies, their breath. You drift closer, and the air grows heavy with the scent of burning herbs. A small fire glows at the circle's edge, not bright enough to outshine the moon, but enough to warm the night air. Smoke rises slowly, curling in ribbons, as if carrying the prayers upward into the sky. The priestesses stretch their arms, palms open to the heavens, their faces bathed in moonlight. For a moment, they are still. Their silence feels deep, as if the earth itself is holding its breath with them. Then, one by one, they move again. Their dance begins anew. Soft steps, careful turns, each gesture painting invisible symbols in the air. The circle glows with quiet devotion. The moon itself becomes part of the ritual. Its light pours across their skin, making every robe shimmer, every hand shine pale and smooth. The women look like beings of light, half human, half divine. They are not worshipping from afar. They are merging with the moon, reflecting its glow, mirroring its cycles. They are daughters of the night sky. They are guardians of silence. They are keepers of the tide. The chants rise again, this time softer, slower. Their words drift like a lullaby. They call the moon by her many names: goddess of silver light, lady of the night sea, mother of the tides, watcher of dreams, queen of stars. Each name is a thread. Together they weave a cloak of reverence, wrapped around the pale moon in the sky. The song is not demanding. It is grateful, tender, humble. The way a child whispers to a mother before falling asleep. The night deepens. The stars turn slowly above. The circle of priestesses continues, their movements now quieter, their voices lower. It is no longer a ritual of offering, but of rest. Their bodies sway gently, almost as if rocking themselves into sleep. The moon looks down, full and soft, its glow like a hand placed gently upon the earth. One priestess kneels, pressing her palms to the soil. She whispers into the ground, words lost to the air, but carried downward like roots. Another tilts her face upward, eyes closed, lips moving soundlessly, her prayer carried straight to the stars. The circle is both above and below, the mother of the sky, the mother of the earth, two faces of the same embrace. The air grows cooler. Dew gathers on the grass. The fire flickers lower, its smoke is thin and fading. The priestesses bring their chants to a close, not suddenly, but slowly, like a river easing into still water. Their voices fade into humming. Their humming fades into silence, and silence becomes its own hymn. The only sound is the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a night bird, and the steady breath of the earth itself. The moon hangs above, still, patient, watchful. Her light spills across the empty field, marking the place where devotion was given. The priestesses remain kneeling, heads bowed, bodies calm. Not asleep, but resting. Not finished, but whole. The story of this night lingers. Every ritual is a thread in a tapestry, woven again and again across ages. Different lands, different names, yet always the same silver glow above. Always the same gentle hands lifted in reverence. Always the same song, calling to the same moon. The priestesses fade back into the mist of memory. But their devotion does not fade. It glows, quietly like an ember, like a soft lamp in the distance. It is here still, in the rhythm of tides, in the pull of the moon across the waters, in the glow that washes your face as you dream. Now, the field grows empty. The moon climbs higher into the sky. The stars drift slowly in their endless patterns. The earth sighs beneath you, calm and safe. You lie beneath the silver glow. Your breath slows, steady, soft. The moon watches with a mother's eyes, constant, patient, kind. She holds the world in her light, and she holds you too. Rest in her glow. Let her cycle carry you into peace. Let her silver touch guide you into dreams. Now close the night like a book. Let the chant of the priestesses linger only as an echo, a memory too soft to disturb you. The moon remains. The stars remain. The silence remains. Let us drift onward into stillness, into the silver night, into sleep. The night opens once more. The stars stretch across the sky, a quiet sea of light. The air is warm, touched by the salt of the distant sea. Gentle winds move through olive trees, their leaves whispering softly to one another. You drift across an ancient island. Stone paths lie beneath your feet. Beyond them, hills roll slowly, glowing pale in the moonlight. This is Crete, a land surrounded by waves, a land where temples once rose in honor of the sacred. Here the serpent moved, not as something feared, but as a sign of life's eternal return. In the stillness of night, you step into the memory of a temple. Its walls are painted with bright colors, though softened now by time. Red, gold, and deep blue wrap the stone in patterns of waves and flowers. Torches flicker, their flames bending in the night air, casting moving shadows along the painted walls. At the heart of the temple stands a priestess. She wears a long flowing gown, woven with threads that glimmer faintly in the firelight. Her hair is braided, adorned with beads and shells gathered from the sea. In her hands she holds a serpent. The serpent coils slowly, its body gleaming like polished bronze beneath the torchlight. It does not strike. It does not hiss. It simply moves calm, patient, alive. The priestess lifts it high, her eyes reflecting the flames. Around her, the gathered people bow their heads. The serpent is not a creature of fear here. It is a teacher, a symbol, a guide. It sheds its skin and is renewed again and again. It disappears into the earth, then returns, reminding all that life does not end, but circles back in a quiet rhythm. The priestess whispers ancient words, a prayer carried by the smoke of burning herbs. The fragrance of sage and myrrh fills the air, wrapping the space in warmth. The serpent winds gently around her arms, its body a living thread, binding the moment to something eternal. The people watch in silence. They see not only an animal, but the shape of a mystery, the endless turning of life, death, and return. You walk further into the temple's memory. Columns rise around you, painted with patterns of lilies and spirals. Spirals that echo the coil of the serpent. Spirals that echo the turning of the stars above. Everything curves and circles. Nothing is sharp, nothing is broken. All flows, all returns. At the base of one column, a bowl of milk rests as an offering. A serpent slides close, dipping its head softly, drinking in silence. It is not feared. It is welcomed, honored, blessed. The people smile as they watch, for they believe the serpent carries the voice of the goddess of the earth, the goddess of renewal, the goddess who protects the home and the hearth. The priestesses of Crete often held serpents in their hands during rituals. They lifted them high to show that life is always moving, always changing. The serpent's body, long and flowing, was a mirror of rivers and roots. Its shedding skin was a promise of new beginnings. To hold the serpent was to hold the cycle itself. It was to remember that nothing truly ends. Even in stillness, even in silence, something new waits to rise. Outside the temple, the island breathes in rhythm with the sea. Waves roll against the shore, retreat, and return again. Like the serpent, they are never still. Like the serpent, they are eternal. The priestess steps into the moonlight, the serpent still in her hands. She turns her face toward the sky. The moon glows full and white, a silver mirror for the earth. The serpent lifts its head, its eyes reflecting the same light. In that moment, the creature and the goddess feel as one. Both silent, both glowing, both eternal. The people kneel on the ground, pressing their palms into the soil. They whisper prayers into the earth, trusting that the goddess hears through the serpent's movements. Every breath becomes a devotion. Every heartbeat becomes part of the cycle. The dream carries you deeper into the island's heart. Fields of grain sway in the wind. Vines twist along the earth, heavy with fruit. In each plant, in each root, the people see the serpent's pattern, winding, curling, never ending. Children are told that the goddess placed serpents at the edges of homes to guard them, to keep away misfortune, to watch over the hearth fire. And so when a serpent was seen near the threshold, it was not driven away. It was welcomed, greeted, even fed. The people believed it was a blessing, a guardian spirit, a living thread of the goddess herself. The priestess lowers the serpent at last. It slides gently to the earth, winding its way back into the shadows of stone. The firelight flickers across the walls, fading now to embers. The people bow their heads once more, their prayers spoken softly, like a lullaby to the night. The temple grows quiet. The air grows cool. Outside, the waves continue to roll, patient and endless. The moon continues to shine, bright and still. The serpent has returned to the dark, but its presence lingers, not only in the temple, but in the hearts of those who saw it. It is a memory, a symbol, a promise that life will always renew. You drift now to the edge of the island. The sea spreads wide before you, silver beneath the moon. The tide rises and falls, carrying its own quiet hymn. Somewhere below the surface, serpents of the water move unseen, their bodies winding like rivers in the deep. Above, the stars swirl in patterns that echo their shapes, spirals and circles, forever turning. The serpent of Crete is not a fear, but a comfort. It is the silent guardian of the home, the promise of renewal, the endless breath of the earth itself. The night deepens. The temple fades into the shadows of memory. The serpent rests once more on the earth, and the people close their eyes, trusting that the goddess watches through the quiet coils of her sacred creature. You too may rest now. The serpent moves in the hidden places, but not with threat. It moves with peace, with patience, with the promise that life will always return. Let its silent path carry you into sleep. Let its eternal cycle wrap you like a gentle spiral of light. The stars above shimmer like scales of silver. The waves below sigh like a cradle's song. Now rest as the sacred serpent of Crete curls quietly into the night. The earth breathes. The sea hums. The moon glows. And you drift onward. Into silence. Into stillness. Into dreams. The night deepens. The air cools, wrapped in silver light. Far away, the Nile flows like a shining ribbon across the dark earth. Its waters glimmer softly beneath the moon, moving, slow, steady, eternal. You drift closer. The sound of water is everywhere. A gentle murmur, a mother's voice, a song without end. The reeds along the banks sway in rhythm. Lotus flowers float, their petals half closed in sleep. Palm trees lean into the soft breeze, their leaves brushing the night air like fingers across a harp. And here, in this tender silence, the story of Isis unfolds. She's remembered as the mother, the healer, the one who gathers the broken and makes them whole again. Her name is whispered in temples, carved in stone, carried across seas by those who love her. Isis, the mother of all. Isis, the gentle power behind the Nile's embrace. The river is her body, flowing endlessly. Its waters feed the fields, turning desert into gardens. When the floods come, they do not destroy, they bless. They rise with purpose, bringing rich soil, gifting new life with every season. The people of Egypt watch the waters rise and fall, and they know her touch is in them. Her breath moves with the current. Her heart beats with the flow. To them, the Nile is not only a river, it is a cradle. It is the endless arms of Isis. Long ago, they told the story of how she wept. Her tears fell like rain, and the Nile grew wide with her sorrow and her love. Her grief was heavy, but it gave birth to life. Through tears, the river came alive. Through sorrow, the world was nourished. And so the people prayed to her not only in joy, but in pain as well. For she held both gently, as a mother holds her child. The temples of Isis rose along the riverbanks, stone walls painted with stars and lotus blooms. Torches glowed softly in the halls. Priestesses walked slowly, their steps like ripples across still water. They sang to her in low voices, their chants like the rustling of reeds in the night. You can almost hear it now, a low hum, carried on the wind. A hymn to Isis, floating into the darkness, sinking into the waters, carried forever downstream. Her story was not bound to Egypt alone. Sailors carried her name beyond the Nile. They whispered her prayers as they crossed the sea. They built quiet shrines in distant lands, believing her arms could reach even across the waves. For them, she was not only of the Nile, she was of every river, every tide, every mother's embrace. Her worship stretched across the Mediterranean, into Greece, into Rome, into secret circles where her symbols were hidden. The knot of Isis tied like a girdle, the throne carved as her sign, the outstretched wings painted wide in gold. Everywhere she went, she brought the same gentle song, a reminder that love does not end where land does, a reminder that the mother's embrace is endless. You drift further into her story. It is said she once gathered the body of Osiris, her beloved, cut into pieces and scattered across the land. She did not turn away from grief. She did not hide from loss. Instead, she searched with patience, with faith, with endless care. Piece by piece, she gathered him. With her voice, she called life back. With her breath, she gave him form again. And though he could not remain in the world of the living, he was made whole in the world beyond. From her love came Horus, the falcon child, guardian of the throne. This story, told by firelight, was never only of gods and kings. It was of Isis herself, the one who mends what is broken, the one who makes life possible again. The people believed her presence was strongest in the stillness of night, when the stars shone brightest, when the Nile whispered most clearly. Fishermen would stop their boats and press their hands to the water, asking her for safety. Mothers would rock their children, singing her name like a lullaby. Travelers would place a drop of milk on the earth, a small gift, trusting her to guide them on their way. Even the farmers, waiting for the floods, saw her shadow in the rising water. Not a shadow of fear, but of promise, that the earth would bloom again. You can almost see her now. She rises from the river's edge, clothed in linen white as moonlight. On her head, a throne-shaped crown glimmers. Her wings spread wide, feathers glowing softly like the light of dawn. She does not speak. Her silence is deeper than words, yet all who see her feel it. A calm that reaches the bones, a quiet that heals. The Nile bends gently at her feet. The reeds bow. The stars above shine brighter, as though leaning closer to watch. Her worshippers once carried lamps through the night. Each flame is a prayer. Together they placed the lights upon the river, where they floated like golden stars upon the water, drifting, drifting, until they melted into the horizon. It was a way of saying, "We remember you. We carry your light. Even in darkness we are held." And still the river flowed. Still, the earth drank deeply from its gift. Still, Isis remained, her embrace endless. Her presence is soft as the water itself. The wind stirs again, carrying the scent of lotus, carrying the sound of reeds brushing together. The Nile sings its endless song, a song of renewal, a song of return. It tells of floods that come and go, but always give life. It tells of tears that fall, but bring forth blossoms. It tells of a goddess who bends low to gather, to hold, to love. You drift with the river now. Its current is slow, rocking like a cradle. The moonlight rests upon its surface like silk. Every ripple is soft, every sound a lullaby. The embrace of Isis is in the water. It is in the night air. It is in the stars that watch above. It is in the very rhythm of your breath. She does not ask you to move, only to rest. She does not push you forward, only holds you where you are. The Nile carries you as gently as a mother carries her child, each moment slower, each thought softer, each breath deeper. Far down the river the temples fade. The torches burn lower. The chants become quiet, but the story of Isis does not end. It flows on, through every stream, every tide, every dream. Her arms are the horizon. Her voice is the wind in the reeds. Her heart is the water that never ceases. And so you may rest now, without fear of breaking, without fear of loss. For Isis gathers always. For Isis heals always. For Isis holds always. The river slows. The night deepens. The stars shimmer gently, like lamps floating on the current. Let the embrace of Isis carry you into sleep. Let the Nile rock you in its quiet arms. Let the moonlight fold around you, soft as linen, soft as wings. Now rest as the river flows onward. Now dream as the goddess watches in silence. Now drift as the Nile sings its endless song. The sacred embrace continues. The water whispers. The night breathes, and you drift onward, into stillness, into peace, into dreams. The night rests gently over the hills of Greece. A silver moon floats above, glowing through a thin veil of cloud. The earth breathes softly, fields lying quiet after harvest, their golden stalks bent, sleeping under the starlight. You walk slowly into the hush of this sacred land. The air is sweet with the scent of grain. The wind carries faint echoes, low chants, distant drums, the quiet pulse of ritual hidden deep within the valley. Stone paths lead down into shadows. Torches flicker far away. Their glow like fireflies against the dark. And here begins the story of the mother, Demeter, and her daughter, Persephone. A story whispered for centuries. A a story that carried hope through every season of loss. Demeter, goddess of the harvest, keeper of fields, guardian of every seed. Her touch made the earth fertile. Her presence made gardens bloom. She was the giver of bread, the one who turned soil into sustenance. Her daughter, Persephone, was the flower of springtime, bright, tender, beloved. Where she stepped, blossoms followed. Her laughter sounded like the first song of birds in morning light. Together, mother and daughter walked the meadows. Together, they brought joy to the earth. The bond between them was unbroken, as natural as breath itself. But the story tells of a shadow. One day, Persephone wandered alone. She bent low to pluck a flower, its petals brighter than any she had seen before. The ground trembled. The air grew still. From beneath, a chariot rose black as midnight. Hades, lord of the underworld, reached forth and carried her into the depths below. The earth closed above them. The meadow was silent. The flower she dropped lay alone in the grass. When Demeter searched for her daughter, she found only emptiness. The fields that once thrived with her blessing grew dry. The trees withered. The earth mourned with her grief. Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. Still, the world lay barren. Still, Demeter's heart was broken. The people cried out in hunger, but Demeter could not lift her hand. Without her daughter, she could not give. Without Persephone, the world could not bloom. The story says she walked the earth like a pilgrim. She carried a torch in each hand, searching day and night. She passed through villages, but few could see her clearly. To some, she looked like a weary woman. To others, she glowed faintly, like a flame behind a veil. She came to Eleusis, a small town near the sea. There she sat by a well, her face hidden. The people offered her water. The people offered her bread, and she blessed them quietly, for kindness was the only light she found in her sorrow. But Persephone was not gone forever. For though she sat in the halls of Hades, her heart still longed for the sun. Her voice still carried upward, whispering to her mother in dreams. The gods heard Demeter's grief. The earth itself was crying, and so an agreement was made. Persephone would return, but only for part of the year, for she had tasted the seeds of the underworld. 6 pomegranate seeds, red as blood, sweet and binding. They tied her to both worlds, one of shadow, one of light, and so the cycle began. When Persephone rises, Demeter rejoices. The earth bursts into green, fields swell with wheat, flowers unfold. It is spring, and joy is alive again. But when Persephone descends, Demeter mourns once more. The fields turn brown, the trees grow bare. Winter wraps the earth in silence. This rhythm became the heartbeat of the seasons. Loss return, darkness, light, death and life again. The people of Greece felt this story in their bones. Every year they watched the fields fade and return. Every year they knew the ache of winter and the promise of spring. So they created mysteries, rites that honored Demeter and Persephone, rites held in secret, rites that bound them together as children of the earth. In Eleusis, pilgrims gathered. They came from near and far, walking dusty roads, carrying offerings of grain. They entered the great hall, lit with torches, heavy with incense. No outsider was told what they saw, for the mystery was sacred, guarded by silence. But the heart of it was simple. Life would return. The seed buried in darkness would bloom again. The daughter taken into shadow would rise again. Imagine the hall filled with quiet bodies. Torches flicker against stone walls. Priestesses stand in white robes, their hands lifted, their voices singing low. The sound is like waves breaking on the shore, steady, endless, soothing. The pilgrims close their eyes. Some see Persephone walking out of the earth. Some feel the warmth of sunlight after cold. Some simply rest in the rhythm of the chant, a rhythm that feels like breath, like heartbeat, like the turning of seasons. For the rites of Demeter were never about power. They were about comfort. They were about the promise that nothing ends forever. Even when the seed lies buried, it holds life within. Even when the night feels endless, the dawn waits just beyond. And so the people left Eleusis with lighter hearts. They carried with them the quiet truth. Death is not an end, but a turning. Grief is not forever, but a passage. You drift deeper now into this story. The mother waits by the fields, watching the horizon. The daughter rises, her steps lighting blossoms along her path. They meet with tears and joy, their embrace felt in every growing stalk, every opening bud. The bond between them is the bond of all life. To lose, to grieve, to wait, and to find again. To see the spring return, not as something new, but as something once lost, now restored. The wind moves through the fields again. Grain bends softly, gold against silver starlight. The earth is quiet, but within it, seeds stir. They wait, they rest, they trust, and so may you. For the promise of Demeter is not only for the fields, it is for every heart that longs, every spirit that waits, every dream that sleeps. Even in shadow there is a return. Even in silence there is a song waiting. Even in winter the daughter will rise, the night deepens. The torches fade, the chants drift away like echoes across water. The fields lie still beneath the stars. Now rest as the story holds you. Now drift as the earth breathes softly. Now dream as Demeter dreams of her daughter's return. Let the promise of spring cradle you. Let the bond of mother and child comfort you. Let the rhythm of loss and return carry you onward, into peace, into quiet, into sleep. Beneath the soft veil of twilight, when the earth is hushed and the air hangs like incense in the sacred halls of memory, the voices of the Sibyls rise again. Their words do not shout, nor do they rush. They linger like gentle winds moving through stone corridors, like the faint hum of the sea echoing in a cavern. The Sibyls were women chosen not by crown or scepter, but by silence, vision, and the touch of unseen hands. They were guardians of whispers older than kingdoms, older than the stones of the temples themselves. Their dwellings were caves, shaded groves, and still waters. Their voices were threads, weaving between the mortal and the divine, carrying fragments of what was to come. You drift now into that quiet world, a world where fire burns low in bronze bowls and the fragrance of herbs curls upward into shadows. You feel the cool stone under bare feet. You hear the hollow stillness of the cave, broken only by the soft drip of water falling into unseen pools. The Sibyl waits in the dark. She is not restless. She does not seek. She is the vessel, open to a current larger than herself. Her eyes, half closed, shine like coals beneath ash. When her lips part, it is not she who speaks, but the stream of prophecy, moving as if through reeds in a quiet river. Her voice is not thunder. It is not the roar of storms. It is the breath of mist across the mountains. Kings once traveled across seas to hear her. They brought gold, offerings, and questions heavy with fear. Yet her answers came not in certainty, but in riddles shaped like songs. A sentence that could bend both ways, a phrase that carried both warning and promise. The Sibyls knew that truth is never straight. Truth bends, like a reed in the wind, like water in the Nile or the Tiber, like the moonlight across broken stone. To hear them was not to receive clarity, but to enter the flowing of the unknown, where the heart must decide its own course. Imagine now the Sibyl of Delphi, seated upon her sacred tripod, surrounded by vapors rising from the earth. The air is warm, filled with the resin of laurel leaves. A faint tremor moves through the ground beneath. Pilgrims kneel in silence. Priests watch with reverence, waiting for her voice. She closes her eyes. The breath of the earth enters her chest. She exhales, and words fall like soft stones into still water. Some hear doom, others hear hope. Yet all leave touched, marked by a mystery they cannot undo. The Sibyl of Cumae whispers from her cave near the sea. The waves crash beyond the cliff, but inside her hollow the sound becomes softer, as if the ocean itself leans in to listen. She writes her visions on leaves, delicate and trembling, placing them near the entrance. The wind scatters them, carrying fate into the world in fragments. A king may gather them, yet never in order, never complete. There is beauty in this scattering, for life too is never handed whole. It arrives in pieces, like dreams half remembered, like footsteps fading before dawn. The Sibyl does not resist this. She knows that wisdom lives in fragments, and that wholeness comes only with time. Another Sibyl, older still, sang in Asia, her voice echoing across plains and temples. She sang of wars, of rising empires, and of their fall into dust. Yet always, beneath her tone of warning, was the deep hum of the eternal, a reminder that nothing truly ends, only shifts and flows. You drift with her song now. You hear it not as a warning, but as a lullaby, soft and slow, guiding the heart into surrender. Each note is a star in the night. Each pause is the darkness between, which is as holy as the light itself. The Sibyls were bridges. They stood between silence and sound, between earth and sky, between present and future. They bore the weight of visions, yet they carried them with gentleness, like one carries a bowl of water across rough ground, never spilling more than a drop. Even as empires rose and fell, their caves remained. Even as temples crumbled, the echo of their voices lingered in stone. Some said their words were dangerous, that they unsettled rulers and stirred unrest. But others felt their voices like rain upon dry fields, awakening seeds buried deep. The Sibyls spoke not only to kings, they spoke to wanderers, to shepherds, to mothers carrying children. Their visions touched all, for the divine breath does not choose only palaces. It drifts into every home, every path, every sleeping soul. You may feel it now, as though their voices cross time and space, flowing like rivers that find their way to the sea. Their words come not to disturb, but to cradle, to remind that you, too, are part of this great weaving. In the quiet, one hears the echo of their promise, that the future is never fixed, but fluid, like water shifting through channels of stone, that even in darkness, a path is always opening. Breathe with that thought. Let it rest in you, as soft as the touch of dusk upon the earth. The Sibyls are not here to demand. They do not pull you forward or backward. They only sing. Their song is the gentle rhythm beneath the heart, reminding you that all things belong to a greater order. In their voices you hear the rustle of laurel leaves, the whisper of waves upon rock, the hum of earth breathing beneath caves. You hear the sigh of the wind as it passes through ancient ruins, carrying with it not sorrow but peace. Their words do not end. They flow outward, like ripples across water, widening, softening, dissolving into the horizon. Now the night deepens. Stars brighten above the sacred groves. The last embers in the cave glow low, steady, calm. The Sibyl's voice fades back into silence, as though she were never there, yet always present. And you rest within that silence, wrapped in the memory of her song. Let the echoes linger only as soft dreams. Let the future drift far away. Let the present hold you gently, like cool stone in the shade, like soft earth beneath bare feet. The Sibyls have spoken. Their voices are rivers returning to the sea. Their song is the hush that carries you towards sleep. Now rest as the stars return. Let us drift onward. Night has fallen gently across the mountains of Phrygia. The air is cool, wrapped in the perfume of pine and cedar. A crescent moon rises above the ridges, pouring silver light over rocks, trees, and quiet streams. In the stillness there is a sound, faint at first, then steady, the soft pulsing rhythm of a drum, echoing from somewhere deep within the forest. You follow the sound in your mind, step by slow step along a winding path shaded by tall trees. The branches arch overhead like the beams of a great temple. Between them, stars glimmer like lanterns hung in the sky. The forest breathes, each leaf moving with the night wind, each root steady in the earth below. This is the sacred grove of Cybele, the Great Mother, the Lady of Mountains and wild places. Here, her presence is felt not in statues of stone, but in the beating of the heart, in the whisper of the wind, in the living pulse of the earth itself. The drums grow clearer. Their rhythm is slow, steady, like a heartbeat carried through the air. Beside the drums are soft voices, chanting not in haste, but in long-drawn tones that rise and fall like waves on a quiet sea. The sound is not meant to stir, but to cradle, to soothe, to draw the spirit inward. Cybele's priestesses gather in the grove. Their robes move like shadows in the moonlight. Laurel crowns rest upon their heads, and in their hands they hold simple drums, carved from wood, stretched with skin, painted with faint symbols of spirals and stars. Each beat is like a breath of the forest itself, a reminder of life flowing in endless rhythm. They sing of the mother, whose roots stretch deep into the soil, whose arms rise in the form of trees, whose voice moves as wind through mountains. To them, she is not far away, but near, alive in every bird, every stone, every stream that carves its way through the land. You pause in the grove. You feel the coolness of the earth beneath your feet. You hear the water of a nearby spring, trickling softly, joining the hymn of drums and voices. The grove is alive yet calm. It does not press forward. It only flows, as time flows, as dreams flow. The story of Cybele begins long ago, when mountains first lifted their heads above the sea. She was honored as the mother of all, the one who gave birth to gods and mortals, to fields and forests. Her throne was not of marble, but of living rock. Her crown was not of gold, but of city walls, protecting those who dwelt within. She was both gentle and vast, both tender and unshaken, like the earth itself. Kings once sought her blessing. Warriors prayed for her strength. Farmers looked to her for fertile soil, and mothers whispered her name over their children. Yet here in the grove she is not queen or goddess. She is the quiet heartbeat of the world, felt in the silence of night, heard in the soft roll of drums. The priestesses sing of her wild hymns. They sing of lions who draw her chariot, of mountains that echo her name, of rivers that bend to her song. Yet their voices remain soft, weaving images like dreams. Each word is carried gently on the night air, dissolving into the branches above. You close your eyes and drift with their song. The drums slow, almost like the rhythm of sleep. Each beat is a reminder of breath, steady, flowing, unbroken. The voices rise and fall like the wind through tall grass. In this sound there is no haste, no demand, only presence, eternal and calm. In the heart of the grove stands a great stone, worn smooth by centuries. At its base water gathers, forming a small pool. The surface reflects the moon, silver and still. Offerings rest there, wreaths of flowers, carved wooden bowls, and a few simple lamps whose flames flicker softly. The priestesses kneel beside it, their heads bowed, their hands resting over their hearts. It is said that those who enter Cybele's grove do not leave unchanged, not by fear nor by fire, but by peace, by the deep remembering that all life is held in one vast embrace. The mountains cradle the rivers feed the fields nourish the people, and the mother watches quietly, as she always has. The forest stirs. An owl glides silently across the trees, its wings broad and soft. The wind rustles through the pines, carrying the scent of earth and resin. The night is alive, yet unbroken. In every sound you hear the voice of Cybele, not in words, but in harmony. The hymn turns inward now, quieter, softer. The drums slow until they are only faint taps, fading like distant footsteps. The voices hum like bees at dusk, low and warm. The grove becomes still again, wrapped in silence as gentle as a cloak. In that silence, Cybele is felt most deeply. She is not above nor below. She is here, in the air, in the water, in the breath resting within your chest. She is the rhythm that never ends, the stillness that always holds. You rest in that presence. You drift with it, like a leaf on a calm stream, carried without effort. The stars above glow brighter, as if watching. The moon leans lower, casting silver light across the grove. The priestesses bow their heads and place their drums upon the earth. They whisper prayers, not of asking, but of gratitude. Gratitude for breath, for water, for the silent embrace of the mother who cradles all. Slowly, one by one, the lamps at the stone are extinguished. Their smoke rises like thin threads curling into the night. The grove darkens, but the darkness is not heavy. It is gentle, soft, inviting, the kind of darkness where dreams are born, where rest is deep, where time itself sleeps. The grove holds you. The mountains cradle you. The mother breathes with you, steady and calm. Now the drums are silent. The voices have faded. Only the whisper of the forest remains. The wind in the leaves, the distant call of the owl, the trickle of water. The earth is at peace. And you too are at peace. Rest in the embrace of the grove. Rest in the song of the mother. Rest in the stillness that holds all things. Now the stars return. The night deepens. The dream continues. Let us drift onward into the silence of sleep. The night is quiet above Rome. The hills rest beneath a velvet sky. The stars are scattered like pale blossoms across the dark, and at the heart of the ancient city a fire burns. It does not flicker nor fade. It glows steady, like the breath of time itself. You drift closer in spirit, carried through narrow streets where shadows fall gently against marble walls. The moon rests above tiled roofs. A faint hum of silence covers the city, as if all Rome holds its breath. And then, at last, you see it. The sacred fire, rising softly in the courtyard of Vesta's temple. The temple itself is round, like a great vessel turned toward the sky. Its columns gleam pale in the moonlight, encircling the holy space within. No idols stand here. No statues guard the altar. Only the flame, eternal, steady, calm. Beside the fire sit the keepers of its glow, the Vestal Virgins. They move quietly, robed in white, their veils falling like streams of cloth around their faces. Their steps are soft, their voices hushed, for this place is not a place of noise. It is a chamber of stillness, a sanctuary where the life of the city is guarded in firelight. One priestess kneels and adds a piece of wood to the flame. The sparks rise like golden birds, then dissolve into the night. Another sprinkles grains upon the fire, and the scent of sweet smoke curls upward, carried toward the stars. Nothing hurried, nothing restless, only a rhythm, slow and unbroken, like the rhythm of breath. The vestal flame was more than fire. It was Rome itself. So long as the flame burned, the people believed the city's heart endured. It was the light of protection, the warmth of purity, the sign that the gods had not turned their gaze away. The virgins who kept it were chosen as children. Brought into the temple before the flame, they left behind their families and their homes. They belonged not to one household, but to all of Rome. Their lives were bound to the sacred hearth. For 30 years they tended its glow, in silence, in devotion, in patience. But within this silence there was no sorrow. The fire gave them its calm, its steadiness. They were not alone, but sisters together, guardians of a living symbol. Each step, each gesture, was part of a prayer, too deep for words. You imagine their days. The rising of the sun, golden over the hills. The sound of water being drawn to purify the temple. The tending of the fire, fed with wood, crowned with offerings. The hush of ritual, like the hush of dawn itself. And you imagine their nights, the city outside resting in sleep, the flames still alive, glowing against the dark. The priestesses seated close by, their eyes reflecting the light, their hands folded. A sacred watch kept through hours when others dreamed. The flame never left alone, never left to fade. Always seen, always guarded. The symbol was simple. Fire is warmth. Fire is life. Fire is the first gift of the hearth, the heart of every home. In this one flame, Rome found its home, its soul. It was said that if ever the fire died, danger would fall upon the city. And so it was kept, age after age, season after season, an unbroken thread of light. The temple walls have heard countless prayers, pleas for protection whispered by leaders and warriors, songs of gratitude murmured by mothers and farmers, hopes for children, for harvest, for peace, all carried by the smoke into the sky. Tonight the city sleeps, but the temple glows. The firelight falls across stone floors. It touches the faces of the priestesses, serene and calm. It reflects in their eyes as steady as stars. The silence around you is not empty. It is full of memory, of devotion, of the simple breath of fire. You sit in that silence, feeling its warmth wrap around you. The sound of wood cracking gently in the flame becomes like a lullaby, soft, reassuring, eternal. There were times when storms gathered over Rome, times of conflict, of uncertainty, when the city trembled, yet the flame endured. The virgins did not leave it. Through rain, through wind, through the noise of battle in the distance, they kept their watch. A single thread of light woven through all the shifting years. The Romans believed that Vesta, the goddess of the hearth, was more than fire. She was presence itself. She was the center of all homes, all lives. To honor her was to honor the bond of family, the bond of people to people, the bond of Rome itself. And so the flame was her breath, her heart, her everlasting gift. Close your eyes, and you feel the fire inside yourself. Not fierce, not consuming, gentle, warming, a steady glow, like the hearth of your own being. It calms your body, it calms your thoughts. It whispers to you that all is held, all is guarded, all is safe. The priestesses sit in their circle, veils drawn, robes flowing. One leans forward, feeding the flame with care. Another sprinkles salt and herbs upon the fire, sending a sweet scent into the stillness. Their faces are serene, touched with the softness of the firelight. The temple breathes with them, alive in rhythm. The fire dances, but it does not wander. It moves, yet it holds. Its glow is golden, steady, endless, like the seasons that circle back again, like the stars that rise each night, like the tide that comes and goes, yet never ends. In time the night deepens. The sounds of the city fall further away until there is only the fire, only the whisper of its flame. The temple is wrapped in peace, ancient and unbroken. The fire has no haste. It burns in patience. It teaches patience. It teaches the slow strength of things that endure. And so the virgins learn, and so those who sit within its glow also learn. The wisdom of stillness, the power of what is tended with care. You drift with that wisdom now, each breath like a small flame, each thought fading, softening, until only warmth remains. The hearth within you glows, unshaken. The night carries you like the temple carries the flame, gently, steadily, with calm devotion. The stars above Rome begin their slow journey west. The moon moves lower, and still the fire burns, eternal, unbroken. The priestesses bow their heads in silence, their hands resting upon their knees. Their lips form prayers that are not heard but felt. The air is filled with quiet blessing like a song without sound. You rest in that blessing. You rest in the glow. You rest in the warmth of the eternal flame. And as your thoughts grow lighter, like smoke rising, the night opens its arms around you. The stars return shining calm above. The temple fades into dream, but the flame remains, steady, eternal, inside you. Now drift gently onward. Now rest as the stars return. Night settles softly over the ancient hills. The stars rise one by one, their quiet fires glowing in the vast dome of sky. A hush falls upon the earth, as though the land itself is listening. Stone temples sleep in silence, their doorways shadowed, their columns lit by moonlight. You drift closer, breathing slowly, your steps feather light upon the path of sand and dust. Ahead the cave opens, wide and dark, a mouth to a deeper world. It was here, long ago, that whispers lived. Whispers of women who gathered at night. Whispers of sisters, hidden, yet devoted. They were called daughters of the hidden flame. The world remembered the men of Mithras, cloaked in secret rites, their caves filled with stars carved in stone. But alongside them, in quieter places, the sisters moved like water, weaving their own threads of mystery. In the stillness, you enter. The cave walls are cool, damp with ancient breath. Torches glow with a golden shimmer, their smoke rising like incense to the roof of stone. Shadows flicker in gentle rhythms, like wings of unseen birds. The sisters' steps are soft. Their robes fall like flowing rivers, dyed in deep hues of earth and sky. Some carry bowls of milk and honey, offerings of sweetness. Others bear wreaths of flowers, pressed from fields kissed by sun. Together, they hum a low song, voices blending like streams that join into one river. They speak not of conquest or of blood. Their mysteries are not carved in battle, but in care. They sing to the balance of night and day. They sing to the stars, mapping the heavens upon the floor with circles drawn in ash. They sing to the flame, small and tender, burning at the center of their gathering. For them, Mithras was not only the slayer of the bull, the bringer of life through sacrifice. He was also light itself, carried gently through shadow. And to light they gave devotion. You drift deeper, as if seated among them. Your eyes close, your ears hear the rhythm of the drum. It beats softly, not to stir the heart to battle, but to lull it into peace. Boom, like a slow heartbeat. Boom, steady as the earth turning. Around. The sisters' voices weave, rising and falling like wind in trees. One sister, her hair bound with silver thread, kneels by the flame. She whispers words to the fire. They are old words, older than empire, older than kings. They speak of dawn's promise, of dusk's surrender. The fire answers with a flicker, a dance of sparks that leap into the cavern air. Each spark is like a tiny star, a reminder that heaven lives even in the dark of caves. Their rites are not written. No tablets, no scrolls, no chisels in stone. Only memory, only song, only the breath of one sister teaching another, as night follows night. They trace patterns with their hands, circles, spirals, waves. Each gesture tells a truth, that all things move in cycles, that no shadow stays forever, that life, like the moon, will always return to light. And so, while the world above marched, to the sound of swords, while men swore oaths in blood, the sisters below swore their own vows, to protect the flame, to guard the balance, to keep alive the memory that gentleness too was sacred. Outside, the winds turn, brushing through the forest that grows above the cavern. Branches sway in moonlight, leaves whisper in chorus with the songs below. It is as though the earth itself listens, as though the night itself leans down to hear. You breathe deeply. The air is cool, scented faintly of resin, honey, and crushed herbs. The sound of dripping water echoes softly in the distance, marking time more gently than any clock. The cave feels alive, warm with presence. Every corner holds a secret, yet no secret carries fear. Only stillness, only devotion, only peace. Legends say the sisters carried lamps into the city at dawn. Hidden beneath veils, they walked in silence, each flame shielded by their hands. To those who passed, they seemed but ordinary women, moving to market or to well. But within the hidden circle, their lamps were more than light. They were seeds of the sun, carried into the waking day. Each lamp was a promise that the mysteries endured, though unseen. Some say their hands healed the sick with herbs. Some say their songs brought calm to restless hearts. Some say they taught children the shapes of stars, drawing constellations in sand by firelight. What is remembered is not power. What is remembered is care, and care too is a mystery. You drift again into their night. A sister places stones in a circle. Each stone holds meaning. One for earth, one for water, one for air, one for fire, one for spirit, the breath that binds all. Around the circle, they move, slow as the turning heavens, steady as the dance of seasons. Their shadows touch the wall, stretching and folding, as though the ancestors stand beside them. The bull of Mithras was sacrifice, but the sisters saw more. They saw in its blood the river that feeds the field. They saw in its death the birth of grain, of flower, of fruit. They saw in its strength the cycle that returns again and again. To them, the bull was not just slain, it was renewed, and renewal was their hymn. Imagine now the cave ceiling above, carved with stars. Each star a spark of the cosmos, each spark a memory of the soul. The sisters sit beneath it, hands open to the sky, though stone rests heavy above. They do not fear, for they know the sky lives within them. The patterns of the stars are also the patterns of the heart. Light moves in both. Light dwells in both. You sit among them, silent, still. The fire warms your face. The song lulls your spirit. The stones, the shadows, the sisters, each part becomes one whole. The cave is no longer dark. It glows with a light beyond flame. A light carried in voices, in gestures, in memory. Now the night grows deep. The sister song softens, falling to a whisper. The drum fades, one last thrum echoing into stillness. The fire lowers to gentle coals, red and breathing like a heart at rest. They bow their heads. They close their eyes. For their work is done. The cave grows silent. The earth exhales. Even the stars seem to lean closer, watching over the flame that still lives. And you too feel it inside you. A flame that does not burn, but soothes. A flame that belongs not only to temples and caves, but to the quiet space of the soul. Let the sisters' song linger in your mind. Let the rhythm of their breath carry you. There is no hurry. There is no burden. Only night. Only peace. Only the slow turning of the stars. Drift now with them into silence. Drift with the flame, steady and eternal. Drift with the memory of hands tracing circles in air. The mysteries are not lost. They live wherever light meets shadow, wherever care is given, wherever stillness holds the heart. And so, rest now. The sisters withdraw into quiet. The cave closes like a dream behind your eyes. Above, the forest breathes. The sky holds its stars, and the flame, hidden but eternal, glows in secret harmony. Let us drift onward. Let the night cradle you as the stars return. Now rest, child of silence. The mysteries will keep their watch. Night falls gently over the coast of Carthage. The waves breathe against the shore, rolling in and rolling out, slow as a heartbeat. The air is warm, touched with the faint scent of salt and distant cedar smoke. Above, the stars awaken one by one, like silver lamps hung in the deep sky. You drift closer, walking along the quiet sands, until the cliffs rise before you. There, upon the height, stands the temple of Tanit, glowing with torchlight, still and solemn in the night. Stone columns rise pale as moonlight, holding the great roof aloft. At the doorway, vessels of clay rest in silence, filled with oil, wine, and honey. Each offering is small, yet sacred. Each gift is a prayer left in the open air, a whisper to the goddess of stars and life. You step nearer. The sound of drums trembles softly from within, slow and steady, never loud. It feels less like music, more like the rhythm of the sea itself. Boom, a deep breath of earth. Boom, a low echo of water. The sound guides you forward into the heart of the temple. Inside, shadows swim across the walls, stirred by torches and candles. Priestesses move in calm procession, their robes flowing like quiet rivers of white. Their faces glow in the firelight, serene, timeless, unhurried. Some carry baskets of grain. Some pour milk into polished bowls. Some scatter petals upon the floor, each petal falling like a soft blessing. At the center stands the altar of Tanit. Upon it rests a carved stone, shaped with the goddess's sign, a triangle topped with a circle, arms stretched outward as if to embrace the stars. It glimmers faintly, a symbol both simple and endless, a sign of life, a sign of light, a sign of protection. The priestesses gather around the altar. Their voices rise in a low chant, weaving words that drift like mist. They call to Tanit, guardian of the night, mother of the heavens, watcher of the seas. They ask her to bless the harvest of the fields, so that bread may be broken at every table. They ask her to bless the wombs of mothers, so that life may rise again and again. And they ask her to bless the ships that sail beyond the horizon, so that sailors return safe from their long journeys. The chant is steady, never sharp, never hurried. It flows like the tide. It cradles the heart like a lullaby. It tells of a goddess whose spirit was not bound to one place, but spread across sea and sky, touching every star above. You sit in the stillness, breathing slowly. The air tastes of honey, resin, and smoke. It is thick yet calming, like the embrace of dusk itself. Above, the roof is carved with constellations, stars etched into stone, glowing in the torchlight. Each star is a memory. Each constellation is a story, and all are gathered here, held close by the goddess who guides them. A priestess steps forward. Her hands carry a silver bowl filled with water drawn from a sacred spring. She sets it upon the altar, and in its surface the torchlight trembles like a second sky. The water is still yet alive, reflecting stars both real and imagined. The priestess bows her head and the chant deepens, soft as a sigh. There are stories whispered of Tanit. She is the moon, shining gently over the sea. She is the morning star, heralding dawn. She is the mother who lifts the child, the hand that protects, the heart that never sleeps. Her temple is not only stone. Her temple is the field, the ship, the hearth, the sky. Everywhere life grows, Tanit is present. And so the people come, bearing gifts of fruit, of oil, of wool. They come not in fear, but in hope. They leave their prayers upon the altar, trusting the goddess to hear. And in the quiet, it feels as though she does. The air itself grows tender, the shadows gentler, the stars more near. A soft wind enters the temple, moving the torches with a low flicker. It feels like breath, slow and steady, filling the chamber with invisible arms. You feel it brush your skin, cooling, calming. You hear it sigh against the stone, almost like a voice. Perhaps it is the sea below. Perhaps it is the goddess above. Perhaps it is both. The priestesses raise their hands in unison, palms open, fingers stretched toward the ceiling stars. They hold the silence for a long moment. Then one begins to sing. Her voice is soft, clear, like water flowing over smooth stones. Others join, weaving harmony, each note tender, each phrase slow. It is a song not of power, but of peace. A song that asks nothing but simply rests in the presence of the divine. You close your eyes. The sound carries you, light as drifting wood upon a calm sea. The song rises and falls like waves. It glows like starlight scattered across water. Every breath feels slower. Every thought drifts further away. There is only the song, only the stars, only the warmth of the flame at the heart of the temple. Time fades. Moments stretch, dissolve, soften. The song, the torches, the priestesses, all blend into one quiet whole. And you drift with it, weightless, timeless, safe. Outside, the night deepens. The sea darkens, yet still it breathes, endless, eternal. Fishermen sleep in their boats. Children dream in their homes. The city of Carthage rests, while the temple keeps watch. Within, the chant slows, soft as a final heartbeat. The torches burn lower, their flames bending like tired eyes. The priestesses bow, their foreheads touching the stone. Their prayers are finished, their offerings given. But the presence of Tanit lingers, still and unseen, like a hand upon the shoulder, like the glow of stars that never die. Now the temple grows quiet. The fire rests in gentle embers. The chants fall into silence. The night holds everything. The sea continues its slow rhythm. The stars shimmer above, endless and calm. And you too are cradled in that calm. The goddess of the stars watches still. Her temple is not only here, it is within you. It is wherever peace can be found. So let the song of Tanit guide you into sleep. Let the sea's breath soothe you. Let the stars above close your eyes with their soft light. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. The temple keeps its watch, and the night holds you safe. The air is thin upon the high mountains, yet it feels soft, like a veil of light resting over stone peaks. Clouds drift low, brushing against the sides of the Andes as though they were touching sacred walls. Far below, rivers curl like silver ribbons through valleys. And above, the sun waits, warm and steady, watching the earth with endless patience. It is here, upon these heights, that the story unfolds. The story of those who were called the daughters of the sun, chosen women who lived not for themselves but in devotion to Inti, the shining lord of the skies. The houses they lived in were not like others. They were built with walls that glowed softly in daylight, clay and stone mixed with touches of gold, polished by careful hands. When morning light touched these houses, they shimmered as if alive, as though the sun itself was breathing through their windows. Inside, silence was not empty. It was filled with song, low voices weaving hymns, rising and falling like gentle wind. Every sound was soft, every movement was careful. Each step was a prayer, each word a thread in a tapestry of light. The daughters of the sun were called chosen because their lives were bound to service. They were taught that their breath was part of the sun's breath, that their warmth was the sun's warmth. They carried this teaching like a flame inside them. It never burned too brightly. It simply glowed, steady and sure, like embers at dawn. At night, when the mountains cooled, their homes glimmered with quiet firelight. The women gathered together, sitting on woven mats, their heads bowed, their voices soft. They spoke words of gratitude for the harvest, for the animals, for the sky that opened each day, and they gave thanks to Inti, who poured golden strength into every living thing. They were taught that the sun was not only above, it was also within. Each heart carried a spark of that same eternal fire. To guard that spark was their duty. To nurture it was their song. In the mornings, they rose before the first light touched the snow peaks. The sky was pale and silver, quiet as a sleeping child. They walked slowly, carrying baskets of flowers, petals of bright red, deep yellow, soft white. They placed them upon stone altars, letting their colors rest in the growing light. The flowers seemed to glow as the first sunbeam touched them, and in that moment the women felt themselves become part of the day's first prayer. The world below was still in shadow, but here, high on the mountain, the sun found them first. Its light rested gently on their faces, warming closed eyes. A silence fell, but it was not empty. It was full of presence, full of warmth, a silence that touched deeper than words. The Inca people believed the daughters of the sun were guardians. Not with swords, not with shields. Their guardianship was made of song, of quiet discipline, of devotion. They carried the balance of life in their stillness. They protected the invisible, the spiritual threads that held the world together. When ships of cloud sailed across the sky, the women saw them as messages. When winds moved through the grass, they heard whispers of Inti's voice. Nothing was random. Every sight, every sound was part of the living pattern. At times, they prepared sacred drink from maize. They lifted it in bowls carved of stone, letting the steam rise like breath. The smoke curled upward, meeting the sunlight. For them, this was a bridge, earth meeting sky, prayer rising like vapor to the sun. And they drank gently, slowly, as though each drop was a blessing. Other times they wove cloth, threads of red and gold. Their hands moved patiently, repeating movements learned since childhood. Each stitch was not only work, it was prayer. The pattern itself was a hymn, and when they finished, the fabric shone like the horizon at dawn. Sometimes they sang together, voices soft, drifting like morning mist. Their songs were not of sorrow, nor of joy alone. They were songs of balance, songs of keeping the world whole. Their voices carried across the courtyard, rising toward the sky, carried by invisible wings. The people in the valleys below would sometimes hear these faint echoes. They would stop, listen, and feel peace flow through their hearts, for they believed that as long as the daughters sang, the sun would keep its steady path. The crops would grow, The rivers would flow. Life would continue in balance. At sunset, the women gathered again. The sky became a sea of colors. Orange, crimson, violet, soft blue. They sat in silence, watching the sun lower itself into the horizon. Its rays stretched long, painting the mountains with fire. And then, as the first stars appeared, they whispered soft words, thanking the sun for its gift of another day. Darkness did not frighten them, for they carried light within. Even when the night was long, even when the winds grew cold, they held warmth in their hearts. And they knew the sun would return, faithful as ever. In the quiet of night, dreams were also seen as prayers. The women closed their eyes, lying upon woven blankets, listening to the breath of the mountains. Some dreamed of golden rivers, some of soaring birds that turned into sparks of sunlight. Others dreamed only of silence, vast and endless, where they felt the heartbeat of the universe. They believed these dreams were gifts from Inti, messages wrapped in images, carried gently into their sleep. When they awoke, they did not question or fear the meaning. They simply accepted the way one accepts dawn or rain, the way one accepts the turning of seasons. The daughters of the sun lived simple lives. They did not seek power. They did not crave riches. Their wealth was light. Their power was silence. Their joy was service. Their hands created beauty. Their voices kept harmony. Their presence itself was prayer. For the Inca, they were a reminder that the world was not only fields and stones, not only labor and hunger, but also mystery, also sacred rhythm, also light that can be carried in the heart. As you rest now, you may imagine them. High upon the mountain terraces, walking slowly, carrying flowers that glow in dawn light, singing softly, their voices gentle as streams, sitting in silence watching the sun cross the sky like a golden traveler. And as you picture them, you too may feel the warmth of Inti, a sun within your own heart. Quiet, steady, patient, a fire that asks for nothing but gives light endlessly. The night grows deeper. The mountains are quiet. Only the stars move above, turning slowly, like silver wheels in the heavens. The golden houses rest in stillness. Inside, the women sleep, their breath calm, their dreams filled with light. Let us drift onward. Let us carry their peace within us. Let us close our eyes as the stars return and the sun waits patiently for dawn. The night is wide upon the steppes. Snow drifts in slow silence as though the sky itself is breathing. The stars are bright here, far from the noise of towns, spread like tiny fires across a black canvas. Wind carries low across the grasslands, soft as a long sigh, touching every tree, every stone, every tent. It is in this stillness that the story of the shamanic mothers lives. A story of women who carried drums, who sang to the stars, and who rocked the earth to sleep with their voices. Their homes were not built of stone, but of felt and wood, shaped into circles that echoed the shape of the sky. Inside, a hearth glowed gently, smoke rising in quiet streams toward the roof, carrying prayers into the open night. The scent of wood and herbs filled the air, calming, steady, grounding. Children lay wrapped in furs, listening to the voices of their mothers and grandmothers. Those voices did not only tell stories, they carried worlds. Each word was a path, each song a doorway. The shamanic mothers were more than healers. They were bridges between the living and the unseen, between the earth and the sky, between dream and waking. When they touched the drum, its sound was like a heartbeat, steady, low, eternal. It was the pulse of the earth itself, reminding all who listened that they were not alone. Their drums were made with patience, stretched hide over wooden frames, painted with signs of sun and moon, bird and beast. When struck, the sound rolled out like thunder softened by distance. It echoed through the steppe, through the bones, through the mind, until the body itself began to sway with its rhythm. And as the mothers drummed, their voices rose, not sharp, not loud, but flowing, like rivers moving under ice. They sang in tones that were half lullaby, half prayer. Some songs spoke of eagles, wings wide, soaring through the upper world. Others spoke of deer, quiet and graceful, guiding souls through forests of dream. And some were no words at all, only sounds, hums, vibrations that wrapped the listener like a blanket. The children listened. The elders listened. Even the earth seemed to listen, holding its breath as the sound of the mothers filled the night. The shamanic mothers taught that every being carried spirit. The river was alive. The stone was alive. The fire was alive. Even the snow, falling silently from the sky, carried spirit. And in the quiet of winter nights, When all seemed still, the women knew that nothing was truly still. All was moving, breathing, turning together in a vast circle of life. They themselves were guardians of this circle. Guardians not through force, but through song, through patience, through the gentle weaving of worlds. When illness came, they sang over the sick, letting the rhythm of the drum guide the lost spirit back home. When sadness came, they sang comfort, a lullaby as old as the grass, as deep as the mountains. And when joy returned, they gave thanks, voices lifting into the sky like smoke into the stars. Sometimes in deep night, when all others slept, the shamanic mothers entered the spirit path. They closed their eyes. They drummed softly. The steady beat carried them outward or inward into a place where boundaries melted. They would see visions, rivers of fire, birds of light, ancestors waiting with open hands. These were not dreams, nor were they waking. They were journeys. Journeys taken not for themselves, but for their people. They returned from these travels with stories, with healing, with guidance, and they shared them not with pride, but with gentleness, as though carrying water in fragile cups. They spoke softly, their voices slow, so that even a child could understand. And always they reminded those who listened, the earth is your mother, the sky is your father, the spirits are your kin. You are never alone. In summer, when grasses were tall and winds were warm, the women led gatherings under the open sky. Fires burned bright. Drums echoed into the distance. Children danced, their steps light upon the soil. The mothers sang blessings over the fields, asking for health of herds, for safety of journeys, for balance of weather. Their songs were carried on the wind, far beyond what the ear could hear. They believed the wind itself carried those prayers across valleys, over mountains, into every corner of the world. In winter, when snow lay thick and the nights stretched long, the shamanic mothers turned inward. They sat by the fire, weaving cloth, whispering songs to newborns, telling stories to calm the restless. The fire crackled like another drum. Its sparks rose like tiny stars, reminding them that even in the dark, the sky was near. The wisdom of these women was not written in books. It was carried in memory, in song, in rhythm. It lived in the way they watched the sky. It lived in the way they touched the earth, slow and respectful. It lived in the way they cradled children, singing the world's oldest prayers into their ears. They knew that to be a mother was not only to care for flesh and bone. It was to care for spirit. It was to guide the invisible as carefully as the visible. It was to drum not only for life, but for balance, for harmony, for the endless circle of giving and receiving. Imagine now the steppe at night, the horizon wide, the stars countless, the silence deep. A single fire burns, glowing like a heart in the darkness. Around it the shamanic mothers sit, their faces calm, their hands steady on the drums. The beat begins, slow, steady, like a heartbeat. Then voices rise, carrying songs older than memory. The earth listens, the sky listens, and even your own breath begins to follow the rhythm. Slow, calm, endless. As their voices soften, the fire grows low. Ash drifts upward like small gray feathers, disappearing into the night. The drums fall silent, leaving only the whisper of wind. The mothers fold their hands, their eyes closing. They too rest now. Rest knowing the circle holds steady. Rest knowing their children are safe in the arms of the earth. And as you lie here, listening, you too are part of this circle. You too are watched over by the great mothers of the spirit. Their songs are quiet now, but their warmth remains. Their rhythm lives in your heartbeat. Their lullabies flow through your dreams. Let us drift onward. Let the drums fade into silence. Let the snow fall softly, endlessly. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest under the wide sky, cradled by the mothers of the earth. The night lies quiet over the river. Moonlight rests gently on the flowing water, silver ripples drifting without hurry. Air is still, broken only by the faint call of a night bird and the low hum of crickets hidden in the grass. The world seems to breathe slow, steady breaths, as though inviting you to join its rhythm. It is here, along the wide river of the Indus, that old whispers still live. Whispers of goddesses, of figures carved in clay, of prayers woven into earth and water. The river was the heart. It carried life across the valley, feeding fields, filling wells, guiding boats. Its waters glistened at dawn, shining like strands of light dropped from the sky. To the people of this land, the river was more than water. It was a mother, a flowing body that gave food, comfort, and protection. and beside her banks rose cities of baked brick, where voices echoed in streets, and traders brought treasures from far lands. Yet beyond the noise of markets, beyond the walls of houses, there were shrines, small places, sometimes only a simple stone, sometimes a room filled with carvings. Here the goddesses waited, not in grandeur, not in heavy temples of marble, but in the quiet shapes of clay figurines, figures with wide hips, full of life, symbols of fertility and flow. Their faces were soft, sometimes without detail, as though they did not need eyes to see. They watched with presence deeper than form. The people left offerings, grain, flowers, and sometimes drops of milk placed carefully before the little figures. They asked for strong harvests. They asked for children, healthy and safe. They asked for balance in the turning seasons. Every prayer was carried into the river's flow, whispered into the current, so it would travel onward. The goddesses were many, yet also one. They carried different shapes, but each spoke of life. Life as seed, life as birth, life as endless renewal. They were guardians of the circle, of the mystery that breathes through soil, womb, and sky. In the still heat of summer, when the air shimmered and fields grew thirsty, people prayed for rain. They shaped small seals, pressing designs into clay, marking them with images of plants, animals, and sacred signs. Each seal carried meaning, a symbol woven into the unseen. To hold such a seal was to hold a prayer in your hand, pressed with care, carried across distance. Perhaps the goddess herself traveled through those images, moving silently between people, between fields, between families. When the monsoon finally came, rains fell heavy, filling the river until it roared. Lightning split the sky, and thunder rolled across the valley. But the people did not fear. They saw in the storm the hand of the goddess, pouring water to awaken seeds, to cool the earth, to bring balance once more. In the hush of twilight, when day softened into night, mothers sang songs to their children. The words were simple, carrying the old names of the goddess, calling her blessings into the home. They sang of her as cow, gentle and giving. They sang of her as tree, strong and sheltering. They sang of her as star, distant yet watching. And the children, falling into dreams, carried those songs into their sleep, as though the goddess herself were humming through their breath. The figures of clay, small and fragile, were kept close. They were not treasures of gold or jewels. They were humble, shaped by hand, fired by sun. Yet they held more than beauty. They held faith. They held the trust of people who saw the goddess in every seed, in every drop of water, in every newborn cry. The goddesses were also protectors of animals. Cattle grazed in open fields, their slow steps stirring dust in the golden light. Goats wandered by riversides, their bells ringing softly. All were part of the circle, all tied to the goddess. To harm them without need was to wound the balance of the world, and so prayers for their health were spoken as carefully as prayers for human life. Some figurines showed women with outstretched arms, as though offering embrace. Others held birds upon their shoulders, messengers between earth and sky. Some carried the shapes of plants, seeds pressed into their bodies, reminding all that the goddess lived in every harvest. To look at these forms was to remember, life is never one thing alone. Life is many, flowing together. The Indus nights were long and full of stars. People looked upward, seeing the goddess in constellations, shining across the dark. The stars were seeds too, planted in the sky, guiding travelers, blessing the seasons. When floods came, when the river swelled too high, the stars offered calm. They told the people, the waters will return to balance. The goddess gives and the goddess takes, but always the circle continues. Sometimes fires were lit upon the riverbanks. Flames danced in bowls of clay, their reflections trembling upon the water. It was said the goddess moved through those flames, a spirit of light traveling with the flow. The fire gave warmth. The river gave coolness. Together they showed the people how balance held the world steady. Across generations, the names of the goddesses shifted. Some were forgotten, some transformed. Some became part of other stories. yet the heart of them remained. Always, they were mothers of life. Always, they were rivers of blessing. Always, they were protectors of the fragile circle that turns forever. Even now, when the old cities lie in ruins, when walls of brick have fallen to dust, the goddess still lingers. Her clay figures still rest in the soil, waiting to be found. Her seals still carry the faint marks of animals, plants, and symbols of life. She is not lost. She flows as the river flows, endlessly, softly, quietly. Imagine now that you walk by the Indus at dusk. The river glows under the fading sky. Cicadas sing, and a soft breeze touches your skin. Ahead, a small shrine waits, lit by a single flame. Inside rests a figure of clay, her shape worn by time, yet still full of presence. You kneel beside her. You hear the river's song, the rustle of reeds, the far call of birds, and you feel it, life flowing, endless and gentle. The goddess needs no words. She is in the silence. She is in the water. She is in the soil beneath your feet. She is in the breath you take now, slow and easy. She is in the stars above, shining as seeds of eternity. The night deepens. The fire in the small shrine grows dim. The clay figure rests in shadow, quiet and calm. The river flows steady, carrying prayers onward. The goddess remains, watching not with eyes, but with endless presence. And so too you rest, like the fields waiting for rain, like the seed waiting for dawn, like the river flowing without end. Let us drift onward. Let the river carry us into dream. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest in the arms of the goddess where life flows forever. The night stretches across the northern sky. It is wide and cold and filled with quiet stars. The air is sharp, yet calm, and the snow glows like pale silver. In this stillness, the world seems both endless and close, as though every breath carries the voice of the earth. Long ago, in the lands of the Norse, there walked women of deep mystery. They were called vulvas, seer women, dream women, keepers of fate's soft and secret threads. By firelight and under the wide stars, they sang of what was, what is, and what may yet be. Their steps were light, but their presence was heavy with reverence. They carried staffs carved with runes, symbols that whispered of destiny and the weaving of time. When they entered a hall, silence gathered. When they spoke, even kings bowed their heads. For the vulvas did not command through power of arms, but through the soft strength of knowing. You may imagine them now. A circle of people gathered on a winter's night. The flames of a long hearth rise and fall, casting shadows that sway like branches in the wind. At the center sits the priestess. Her cloak is heavy with fur, her staff rests beside her, its wood shining in the fire's glow. She closes her eyes, and the room falls still as though the earth itself pauses to listen. She begins to chant. Her voice is low at first, like the murmur of a stream beneath ice. Then it grows, gentle but steady, a song without haste, a melody that carries into the bones of those who hear. In her words are the threads of fate, not commands, not demands, but soft visions of paths unseen, a child's future, a farmer's harvest, a sailor's journey into mist. All flow through her song like ripples in water. The vulvas were dream weavers. They did not force the future. They simply saw its shapes. Like watching snowfall or watching the tide rise, they sensed the patterns beneath the surface. And with their words, they gave comfort, or sometimes warning, but always with the quiet touch of one who stands close to the mysteries of life. The people believed these women were bridges between this world and the unseen. When illness came, they called for the vulva. When a journey began, they sought her blessing. When the land felt restless, her chants steadied the hearts of the village. She was not a ruler, yet she ruled through presence, not by the sword, but by the soft, steady rhythm of her song. In the north, the nights were long. The wind would sing against the walls. The stars hung low and bright. And in those nights, when dreams felt close, the vulvas whispered of Yggdrasil, the great tree of life. They spoke of its roots sinking deep into shadow, its branches rising into endless light. Every soul, every life, every path was a leaf upon that tree, and the rustle of its branches was the sound of destiny itself. In her vision, the vulva might see threads of gold and silver, thin and shining like spider silk in moonlight. These were the paths of men and women, woven together, crossing, parting, yet always part of one great design. She would lift her hand, and those around her would see her fingers move as though she were gently weaving unseen strands of light. There is peace in such a vision, the thought that nothing is lost, that every choice, every sorrow, every joy is part of something larger. The Velvas did not promise ease, but they whispered of meaning, and that was enough to soothe the restless hearts of the people. Sometimes she would travel. Across the white fields, through the dark forests, her staff guiding her steps. Villages awaited her arrival, and when she came, they prepared a seat high and honored. Gifts of food, of cloth, of carved bone were placed before her. Yet she asked for little. Her true wealth was the song she carried, and the silence she left behind. Legends tell that even the gods respected these women, for fate itself, called Word, was older than gods, older than men, older than time's first dawn, and the Velvas, with their chants and visions, stood close to its eternal current. They did not control it. They only listened as one listens to the sea, and in their listening, others found peace. Now imagine the northern night once more. The snow lies deep. The aurora shimmers softly above, green and pale, like the gentle breath of the sky. The priestess stands alone on a hill, her staff in hand. The wind moves her cloak. She lifts her head to the heavens, and in her eyes the stars reflect like fire upon water. Her lips move, though her voice is soft, almost carried away by the breeze. Yet the earth hears her, the trees hear her. The sleeping villages hear her, not with their ears, but with their dreaming hearts. She sings of the turning of seasons, the slow dance of life, the certainty of dawn. And in her song, the night itself feels gentle, as though the world is cradled in her care. The forgotten priestesses of the north still live in memory, not in stone, not in temples, but in the whisper of wind through pine, in the hush of snow as it falls, in the quiet strength that rises when one feels the presence of something greater. Tonight their voices return, soft, low, timeless. They do not speak in words alone, but in the rhythm of breath, the beat of a heart, the glow of a star. They remind that life is a thread, woven with care, never alone, never broken. And as you drift, their song follows you, like a river carrying a leaf, like a mother humming to her child, slow, steady, unending. The stars above lean closer. The air grows quiet. The staff rests once more in the snow. The priestess closes her eyes. Her song fades into silence, yet the silence is not empty. It is full, like a cup brimming with still water. Now let us drift onward. Let the northern winds soften around you. Let the memory of the Velvas hold you like a blanket of snow, soft, endless, calm. Rest as the stars return, and the forgotten priestesses sing again, not in halls of men, but in the dreaming of the night. The night deepens, and the stars open like lanterns above a silent earth. The air is calm, the wind soft. The ground beneath holds the memory of countless steps. There is a stillness now, as though the world itself is listening. A quiet hum, older than words, older than time, waits in the space between breaths. It is the hum of the Great Mother. Every land, every people, every age has carried her name. She has been called by many titles: Isis, Inanna, Demeter, Devi, Pachamama. Yet beyond the names lies the same eternal presence, the woman who gives life, the mother who nourishes, the earth who carries all things. Imagine her not as a single form, but as a circle, unbroken, endless. Her arms stretch wide, her body is the soil, her breath the wind, her eyes the stars, her heartbeat the sea. All who walk, all who breathe, all who dream, live within her embrace. In the valleys of the Indus, small clay figurines were shaped with tender hands, round, gentle forms, symbols of fertility and life. Villagers placed them in their homes, not as idols of power, but as reminders of the sacred cycle: birth, growth, harvest, rest. In their silence, these figures spoke. Life is a gift, and the mother is always near. Far to the west, in the fields of Greece, people told stories of Demeter. She was the grain, the harvest, the green of spring. When her daughter vanished into shadow, the earth grew barren, for a mother's grief touches every root. Yet when her child returned, the fields bloomed again, reminding all that love, even through loss, remains eternal. In Egypt, the people sang to Isis. She was the healer, the guardian, the one who gathered broken pieces of life and made them whole again. Her wings stretched wide across the land, like the wings of a bird shielding her young. When the river rose and the Nile flowed, they saw her blessing, pouring abundance into the veins of the earth. High in the Andes, the people still whisper to Pachamama. She is the earth beneath their feet, the mountain's strength, the river's song. Farmers place offerings in the soil, little gifts of corn, of flowers, of drink, so that the mother knows they remember her. They ask for balance, for kindness, for the rhythm of the seasons to continue. Across deserts, under forests, beside oceans, the Great Mother has never been forgotten. Even when her name changes, even when her stories shift, she remains the same pulse beneath the world. Now imagine her as a circle of voices. You drift closer, and you hear them. Soft, low, weaving together, singing not in one tongue, but in the many tongues of humanity. Their song is not loud. It is steady, like a lullaby sung by countless generations. It is a song that says, "You belong, you are held, you are safe." The circle glows like moonlight on water. Within it, you see all the mothers, all the priestesses, all the keepers of stories. The Velvas of the north, the shamanic women of the steppes, the dancers of the Nile, the singers of the valleys. They stand hand in hand, their faces calm, their voices gentle. They speak of cycles, the seed buried in the dark, the sprout reaching for the light, the flower, the fruit, and the falling leaf. All part of the mother's design, all part of her endless weaving. There is comfort in knowing that nothing is wasted. The rivers return to the sea, the rain returns to the earth, the child grows, the elder rests, and through it all, the Great Mother holds every moment like beads upon a string of eternity. Now picture a great tree. Its roots sink deep into shadow, its branches stretch into the night sky. This tree is fed by the mother's hands. She waters it with her tears, she warms it with her breath. Every leaf that shimmers in the wind is a life, a soul, a story. You are one of those leaves held in place, gently swaying, never alone. In many lands, women once gathered by firelight. They sang, they told stories, they healed with herbs and hands. They were keepers of the mother's wisdom, passing it from voice to voice, generation to generation. Their songs still linger, woven into lullabies, into prayers, into the soft rhythm of daily life. Even now, when silence surrounds you, you can feel her presence. The steady beat of your heart, the rise and fall of your breath, the warmth that carries you through the night. All are the mother's gifts. She is in the soil that grows food, the water that quenches thirst, the fire that warms, the air that cools. She is the ground beneath and the sky above. The Great Mother does not speak in commands. She whispers. Her voice is the hush of the tide, the murmur of the forest, the hum of bees in summer fields. She does not ask you to strive, only to rest in her embrace, to know that life is sacred, not because of what is achieved, but because it exists. Her lesson is gentle. You are enough. The leaf does not question its place on the tree. The river does not doubt its path to the sea. The star does not wonder if it shines too little. All simply are, and all are loved. In every culture, in every story, this truth repeats like a soft drumbeat. Life is holy. The mother is near. You are never outside her circle. Now the night deepens further. The stars tilt toward dawn. The voices of the ancient priestesses grow quieter, but their song remains, woven into the air around you. You drift within their circle, safe, held, embraced. The Great Mother opens her arms, and you rest within them. Her warmth surrounds you like a blanket of earth, her breath like the slow tide, her gaze like the moon watching over the sea. You are carried not away, but deeper into stillness. The cycle continues. The seed sleeps. The earth turns. The stars fade, then rise again. Nothing is lost. Nothing is broken. All is part of the circle. Now let us drift onward. Let the song of the Great Mother linger, soft as the hush of snow, gentle as the rustle of leaves. Rest as the stars return. Rest as the circle holds you. Rest in the arms of the ancient, eternal, ever-living Mother.